Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey folks, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Sam Healy.
And today we're taking a look at Rum Bones.
Rum Bones!
This is a pirate-themed game from Cool Mini or Not, in which each player controls a faction of pirates and goes and fights another faction of pirates. It's basically ship boarding action with a little bit of cannons, but mostly just guys from one running to the others. This has its roots in what's called MOBA games, which are online, like League of Legends and other games like that, where you have swarms of minions running at your opponent, and then you have a few main heroes who are doing most of the action. Let me show you. In this game, there's two ships that are next to each other with gangplanks, and the people who are going to be going across them, you'll start the game with 4 deckhands. These are basically ordinary guys, and they actually come in different models. So you can see here, these are 2 completely looking different guys, but they're basically the same. They both have square bases. That's an easy way to remember them. You also have 3 spawning points on each ship. They're behind them. And then you have these 5 objective tiles. These are tiles that give you some sort of benefit, like this is a deck gun that I can shoot at my opponent. This is how many hit points. If my opponent destroys this, they need to hit it 8 times. And then this is how many victory points they get. The opponent also gets a special ability, like in this case, their enemy can no longer fire the deck gun. So there's 5 of those out on the board. Players will be ready to go. Players are also going to have 5 heroes. They have a captain, a gunner, a quartermaster, a swashbuckler, and a brute. And up to 3 of these can be on the board at any given time. Now, when you're playing this game, you technically can build your own, although this box version comes simply with 5 for each of the factions. But if you get more of the same faction or mercenaries, you can switch them out, and you would have 1 of each type. And they're fortunately nicely color-coded so you can remember. What you're going to do on your turn is, the first thing you do is any hero who's not on the board is going to get a coin on them. Coin is the currency. It's Davy Jones' currency here. It's essentially what you'll use to do special powers. Then you'll fire your deck gun. Then you get to deploy crew. Now on your turn when you deploy crew, you're going to put 2 of your deckhands on each deployment area. So I put 2 here, and I'll put 2 here, and I'll put 2 here, all the way over here on my last deployment area. Then you get 2 bosuns. These guys have rounded. They're slightly better deck crew, and they make all the deck crew better with them. So you pick which spot they're going to be in. Then your deck crew attacks. So if anyone happens to be next to them, they will attack that person, and they always will attack. And after they're done attacking, they all move forward. And so they're just going to keep going forward and attacking in this stream, basically moving across the board. So I would move with all of them. Then I get to deploy and or activate with 3 of my heroes. So like I said, you're going to have 3 heroes on the board at any time. Each of these heroes has different actions that they can take on their turn. Their actions can be to move. They can be using an ability on their card. They can do rigging, which means if they're on the edge of the ship, you can jump to another spot on the ship. You simply roll a die and need to roll equal to the number of where you're trying to swing to or less. So that's essentially what you're going to be doing with your heroes. That's the main part of the game where you have different actions you'll be taking with your heroes. And eventually, one person will get 6 victory points by destroying enough objectives, and the game is over. Let's take a closer look at some of the things in detail. Let's say here that Miss Mags is attacking Ghost Eye Gunter. And so she has 3 different things in her cards. Only one of them is an attack. The other 2 are special abilities. You'll also notice that this one here is free. Everyone always has a free ability. The other 2 will cost coins to take out somebody. Now, this here is an attack. So the first number on an attack is 4 here. So that means I get 4 dice. The second number on her attack is 4 plus. So she needs to roll 4s or higher to hit. So she got 1 hit on Gunter. And we would put a hit marker on him. And that's it. Although we would look here, 1 deployed hero gains a coin. Well, that's great. Payday. So I'll give her a coin because she's deployed. Fantastic. And Gunther would take a hit point. And that would be one of her actions to attack. Gunther here rolls 3 dice that are 3 higher, and it's a range of 2. So he rolls, and that would be 2 hits. And he could shoot her from 2 spaces away. Now, whenever you attack people, if there are deckhands there, you have to kill them first. Gunther has a special ability where he can ignore them. He can shoot heroes first. Then you shoot the bosuns, then you shoot the heroes, and then if there's a objective tile, you would take that out last with the different attacks. Whenever you kill deckhands or bosuns, they just go back to their opponent and they're respawned. They keep coming, but you also get coins for each one that you take out. If you kill a hero, you get all the coins on their sheet, and then that hero is going to be out of the game for 2 rounds. They're going to put this token on their card. At the beginning of the turn, they'll flip it over, and at the beginning of the next turn, that's removed. And then you can bring that hero back in, or you can bring in one of your other heroes. But while your hero's dead, you're down to 2. It's kind of like hockey where you're basically a man down when someone's in the penalty box. When deckhands attack, they always roll 1 die for each deckhand, and they get a roll on a 4 or higher. Bosuns roll, and they get a 3 or higher. They get a hit. And if you have a bosun with deckhands, then they're all 3s or higher when they hit. Your deck gun itself gets 4 dice, can hit anywhere on the board, and will roll 4 dice and gets hits on 4 or higher. Each faction also has a deck of cards. That deck of cards is made up of 10 cards that are in everyone's deck. So everyone has a Daring Leap, which lets your hero pass a rigging check on a 2 or higher. Everyone has a Med Crate, which lets you take 3 damage off somebody. Every deck has a Broadside Barrage, which basically lets you hit 1 zone with 4 dice, 3 or higher. Everyone has a Parlay, which prevents all damage done to a hero. And everyone has a Sea Dragon attack. Now, when the Sea Dragon comes, you're basically going to replace one of the boards on the board with a Sea Dragon. This Sea Dragon is going to attack everybody next to it. There's a card that tells you his different attacks, and you can attack him back. And in fact, if you kill the Sea Dragon, which 14 points, you are going to get 2 victory points for taking him out. So he counts as this, and he gives you a bonus. Friendly heroes now get +1 zone every time they move. So he's worth killing. So each person has the Sea Dragon card that they can play. Each person has a sudden tidal wave that they can play, which KOs everyone on a gangplank and has a chance to knock a hero overboard, which basically takes them out a round. Here you can activate everybody in 1 zone, all your deckhands and bosuns. Here you can make someone re-roll their hits. Here you can stun an opponent, and there's different things that can happen, different conditions. They can be blinded, stunned, slowed, silenced, and bleed, and those things last 1 turn and are basically annoying. Or Rum, which just gives you some coins that you can use. So these 10 cards are in everyone's deck, but everyone also has different cards that are specific to their faction. You'll notice that several of these cards show a Kraken tentacle on the bottom. These cards are set aside. At the end of every turn, you roll 2 dice. If the dice you roll are equal to or less than the total number of Kraken symbols on the table, then the Kraken will appear. He's very much like the Sea Dragon, except, well, he's really big and nasty, attacks everything around him, and you can kill him again to get 2 victory points. And again, then when you kill him, he gives you the special benefit of all your friendly heroes' attacks gain +1 die. So that will possibly happen. The Kraken will show up. The first person to get 6 victory points is the winner, and then anyway, that's the game. Let's take a look at the factions. The first faction is the Wellsport Brotherhood, which essentially is regular pirates. They have a light blue as their color with the bases that go on their pirates that they use. Here, their leader here is Captain Daniel Pale. He has a chance to silence an opponent, and he basically has a pretty strong attack here where he can spend money and add to that attack, and he can also re-roll misses. He can have anyone re-roll misses. Blackout Bart, who runs around with a mug of beer in his hands the whole time here, has a pretty good shot where he can hit heroes with his normal shot, but he also can do extra damage and blind people, and has the incredibly powerful Grease Lightning Barrage. Now, this one costs 4 coins to use, but it's 6 dice, and it can hit 3 zones away. Very powerful gunner, but you'll notice gunners only ever have 8 points. Mad Ivan here, heroes hit by a roll of 6, he can do bleed to them. Each hit that he rolls, he gets an extra die, which makes him really useful, and he basically can hit you back when you hit him. Stumper Pete, the brutes are your big powerful guys here. If he has 8 or more damage, he does extra hits on his normal one. Also, he can suffer 4 damage to re-roll that many dice, and he can roll +1 attack on his big attack for every 2 damage on him. So let's say he has 10 damage, that's 11 dice on his main attack, which makes him a brute. He's essentially the Incredible Hulk. Then Miss Mags, who you already saw, she can get money, and she can recover damage, and also friendly heroes will get plus on their dice. She's kind of a support character. Some of the specialized cards in their deck here have the Cutthroat Tactics, where they get +1 damage per hit, or where you can re-roll all the dice. Shut Your Gob, which is just pretty funny, which basically silences an enemy, which basically means they can't attack or do anything that uses money. Out for Blood lets you specifically go for a hero. Spit in Your Eye, which is hilarious because sometimes you play this card all the way across the board and you can blind somebody, which basically makes them -1 to hit. Unbridled Fury, which is basically a really tough attack that hits the enemy before they hit you back. You have Charge, you have Surprise Shot, you have Shot of Whiskey here, which gives you +1 hit for this attack, but then you take 2 damage. And so there's multiple copies of each of these. This is your most well-rounded faction. If you're going to start with a faction, this is the one you should probably play first. Now for the Bone Devils, which are essentially just undead dudes, first we have Albrecht here, who is pretty powerful because when he KOs someone, he can deploy a deckhand. So he basically brings deckhands around the board here, and whenever he hits someone, he can take damage off a friendly hero, kind of like a vampire. The Quartermaster here, after an attack is complete, he can heal people too. So again, he's kind of killing people to heal life off someone else, and he can attack all the deployed enemy heroes, and he can steal coins from them. It's not a super powerful attack, but since it hits everyone, it's good. Little Tom, one of my favorite models. There's a little dude inside the big dude. I like that. Here, he rolls an extra die for every 3 damage on him, so he's also kind of Incredible Hulk-style powers. And he can pick an enemy within 2 zones, and he can pull them in with his whip. And whenever an enemy within 1 zone moves, he can make them slow down, which will essentially let them only move once. And then he can go get them. So he's hard to escape from. He's kind of a whip type thing. Then we have the Spectre. If the Spectre does any damage to a hero, again, you remove a damage from the Spectre and put on the hero. So it's kind of like a reverse healing type thing. And also here, whenever someone inflicts damage to him, he can pay 2 and do 3 damage back to them. Really good at that backlash. And then Ghost Eye Gunther, who's a really cool guy. He doesn't have hits that do many small damage. He has 1 hit here that on a 2 or higher will do 3 damage, and it will make someone suffer silence. Or I'm sorry, this one only does 1 damage. This one does 3 damage, makes him suffer bleed. He has great range, and he can kind of hit status symbols on people all over the table. Their deck, of course, is also made up of undead stuff here, where you can discard money to heal yourself or present damage and get rid of condition tokens off one of your heroes. You can remove up to half the damage on a friendly hero. Do Deathly Terror, make someone else have -1 to an attack. Do 2 damage to one of your heroes just to give them money. I don't know what that exactly does. Here's like the ultimate negative thing. Blind, silence, and slow someone, although you'll see that has 2 Kraken symbols on it. So when you mess around with that, you're taking a chance that the Kraken will hit you. When the Kraken attacks, he also hurts the person who has more of these symbols more. So you have to be careful about playing this. Here, Unholy Revival, basically make everybody stand back up. So essentially, you have zombies. And then the Necrotic Wind, where a hero can only move 1 zone per move. Instead of moving 2 like normal, you basically are slowing someone down. You can also bleed them, the call to the grave. So that's the game. You can also add in other factions, which will play similarly, but essentially, you're going to keep going back and forth till someone gets those 6 victory points. A couple things I didn't mention in the rules explanation. You do get to draw cards at the end of your turn. You'll draw up to 3 cards, and so those cards are used at various points, but you gotta be careful again for the Kraken.
You can discard down 2 if you want, right?
Right, you can discard and draw more, but you only have so many cards. I do like that the card decks are different, that there's those 10 cards that are in every deck, and then the other cards have a different feel, and if you watch my reviews of each of the factions, you'll see those factions are different. But Let's start with the most obvious thing, because it's a Cool Mini or Not game, components.
Knocking it out of the park. They continue to do this. Other companies need to look at what Cool Mini or Not is doing with their miniatures and take note, because some companies come out with those really brittle, fragile miniatures, plastic miniatures, and they break if you look at them the wrong way. Some of them are too soft and they come all mangled. They look like, Walking Dead miniatures more than anything else. Cool Mini or Not has found that happy medium. I don't know what kind of recipe that they're using to cook up these minis, but they have found the right recipe to do that.
Well, in this case, I think the minis are amazing, and I really like that there's different sculpts for each of the factions too. And I like how the factions look different. They use good coloring too. It's easy to tell the differences.
Yep.
But it's not just that. The ships themselves look really good.
Right.
And I'm going to say, we did a live play of this last week, and people asked us there, and I've thought now for a week, and I can't think of a game that I think does the pirate genre better, or at least the movie pirate.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Like the
Pirates in the
action scene.
Caribbean type
Right.
in a box, when you see the two ships go, and then everyone jumps on board. And I think that especially comes through because my initial reaction to the game when I first played it years ago, I played a prototype of it, I was like, why are we just these minions? There's no point to them. They're just running. But in a movie, that's what happens.
That's exactly
Those
what
minions are
happens.
just whatever.
Right.
It's the heroes going up against each other, and occasionally a hero will get stabbed by a minion. Or they'll take out 20 minions, and so the minions are there kind of to provide cover because you can stand in the middle of them.
Right.
So when you get shot at, their minions are dying first.
Right.
But also you can't ignore the minions.
Correct.
So I've really come around on that, and I think it provides a very cinematic feel to this game.
It does. It does.
I like that there's 5 different types of minions. They all have a different feel to them.
Yeah.
I feel like they're balanced, but I mean, there's no real way to tell.
I don't know. I
There's
think,
some we like better than others.
Yeah, I guess so. I think balancing might be the one almost Achilles heel of this game. Not that it completely does away with the game, but there's just some elements of the game that I thought were not balanced. For example, if you kill the Kraken, you have to deal 14 points of damage to it. How many points does it give you?
Well, 2.
2. Or I could go after your mast, which only takes 8 points of damage, but yet it still gives you 2 points.
Well, I think that's
2 victory
actually a
points.
game balancing mechanism too. Because the thing about the Kraken is technically both squads are fighting it,
Okay.
so it's technically 7, I guess.
But even still, some of the different ships, their cannons and masts are different health point totals.
I don't mind. I really
understand.
think if the Kraken costs more, it would imbalance the game. The Kraken doesn't even show up in every game anyway. Although I think all of ours, it's shown up so far, thanks to some people who can't roll dice.
Shows up in all of mine.
I like the Sea Dragon showing up too, but I think what's interesting to me about the game is just how you use those pirates.
Yeah.
You got to really play to the strengths of your particular crew. This game is not that similar to Chaos Ball, also from Cool Mini or Not,
Right.
but it reminds me of it in many ways because you have a team that's identical in many ways,
Yeah.
but you have a few minor differences, and you really have to play to those differences to make it count.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of the speed of the game. I think it plays very quickly.
Yep. Not a lot of downtime.
Once you know what you're doing, it's an hour. It's move, shoot. The combat system's really simple.
Yeah.
Oh, if only more combat systems were this simple. 4 dice, 4 or higher, and that actually gives a lot of range. This guy's 3 dice, twos or higher. He gets 5 dice, 4s or higher. There's just different things, and it's easy to remember. I don't think we were forgetting rules very often and card play.
It's a very clean, streamlined system, I think, and that's one of its huge graces, is that it is hugely thematic, but at the same time it is completely simple and very, very fun. It's not boring simple.
I'll tell you what, some people say that lately I've become a Cool Mini or Not fanboy, and I mean, I really go into the games. I went into Rum Bones thinking, I don't know how much I like this because I had played it a prototype, And I just couldn't get over how much fun it was.
Yeah.
And just how simple it was. Sure, each of my 5 characters had 3 special abilities, so that gives me a lot of cool things I can do, but they're not hard to remember. They're not hard to do. You know, you have so many actions you can do. And then a lot of the things that are very simple but provide that imaginary thematic flavor, like jumping from rigging to rigging.
Yeah.
And then falling overboard. It's hilarious. And the cards, you know, spit in your eye. Why is that guy spitting in my eye from a ship away?
Because he can.
Because he's drinking like a
Exactly.
beer the whole time. And I like that the status symbols, the negative status effects, stay for only 1 round.
Yeah.
So you're blind, deal with it, it's over.
Right.
You don't have to keep playing, oh, that's right, I'm blind, type thing. And I like that you can only use 3 of your heroes at a time, and you pick which ones. Now, I would love to try this with the mercenaries and other heroes and kind of make my own team, per se.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And you will want to look at the factions, because the factions are neat.
Yeah.
And they provide differences to the gameplay. But as of now, this has become one of my fun, fast, tactical 2-player games.
This is the one that would have been on your top 100 had you played it in time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I knew it!
I don't know how high in the top 100, probably in the, you know, like somewhere in the 90s and 100s or 80s and stuff. I don't know how high, that depends. But it's definitely going in my collection because I really was surprised at just how fast and fun it was.
That's cool.
And again, the miniatures, maybe the biggest downside is for the game itself. The price is going to be higher for that. But I really think you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
You get a lot of miniatures, and you're going to use those miniatures. You're moving them. They're coming off the board. You're moving them.
Yeah.
Really good for me.
Yeah, the price point is high, but as Tom said, I do think that you're getting what your money's worth. Now, the thing is, Cool Mini or Not is able to charge that higher price point, I think, because they give you so much in the box. There have been other similarly large companies, maybe even bigger companies that have taken a hit because of this very thing. They charge so much and then they don't give you very much in the box. Take note, these people are doing it right.
All right, so for me, this gets 2 cutlasses way up. Very much enjoy this game a lot.
This is going to get 2 cannons up from me because it is piratey goodness.
Stop, you'll offend the pirates again.
I know. I'm sorry, pirates.
All right, well, there you have it. Rum and Bones.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.